I have shared before on my channel what my background in the military is. I was an interrogator. These days they call it human intelligence collector. Pretty much the same difference. What they teach in Army intelligence and in military intelligence in general is very different than what the average civilian would believe or what the movies would have you believe. When people say war is an ugly business, usually the first thing they think of is some scene from The Patriot between Colonel Tavington and the Ghost, and they're talking about all of the loss and everything that's happened between them. When truthfully, it's a lot uglier than that. It's more than just what happens on the battlefield. There's a story out floating around the media right now, social media and different places, about a series that's been released by Netflix. And I'd like to talk about it in today's video in a way that most people aren't seeing, because there's an aspect of it that everyone seems to have a blind spot to. Now, this is an article that backs up something that I've said in other videos about interrogation tactics used by the military. This is from the Seattle Times. This is from 2005. And I'll give you a link down in the first pinned comment to this, and you can read for yourself the different tactics and techniques that are truly used by quote-unquote military interrogators when they really want to get things done. There was even a TV show many years ago, CSI, I think it was, where basically this character is talking to a guy. He's in prison. That's why she has a phone up to her ear. He's on the other side of the window, and she basically says, "Hey, for every one of my questions you ask, I lose a button." And that's exactly what goes down. You see, today, idols are not made of wood, stone, or brass. They're made of money, sex, and power in this country. Everybody thinks capitalism is so fantastic and so wonderful. Well, this is what capitalism's end is. There's no way around it, because money talks. Money is the god. You cannot be a capitalist and complain about this. You can't. It's not possible. Did anyone miss the Super Bowl last year? Where they had girls this age juxtaposed by strippers with ropes and poles and all this kind of stuff. I don't know why anyone is surprised by this. I don't know why anyone is shocked by this or is demanding this, that, or the other. This is the end of capitalism. This is the ultimate goal of it, because of the control that it gives. The sex aspect of it. When you read into that article about what happened in Guantanamo, the person who was giving the information declined to tell the interviewer how many of the interrogators were women. He did report that 20% of the guards were women, but he wouldn't reveal that other number, because it would show something that the military has known for a long time. And it's biblical. It's absolutely biblical. They that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. You cannot be a capitalist and be a Christian, because you can't worship two masters. You cannot worship God and mammon. I've even used this article before. When American Christians were socialists, this is from Sojourner's magazine. Capitalism was neither a natural force nor a supernatural one. This hand was not invisible, and it was certainly not the hand of God. This is the great contradiction. Now, if you want to see it truly in practice, you need go no farther than northern Georgia. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene running for Congress. And right in her main, I don't know what you would call it, logo, it says, "Stop socialism, stop socialism, stop socialism. Make America great again." You see, she really thinks that people are voting for her and supporting her simply because of her platform. And she's gone after this issue with cuties, even though this is what she does as far as putting imagery of herself out there. Now you can say this is about being in shape or this is about taking care of yourself. Yeah, you could say that. But you and I both know, what's the reality? What's the reality? No servant can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And if you think this is new, what's going on with cuties? This is a shot from Boy Meets World. This is the 90s. This was just as inappropriate to have girls wearing eyeshadow and rouge and dressed like this when they're supposed to be middle schoolers and high schoolers. This is Blossom. Once again, this is the 90s. This was years ago, decades ago. Just as inappropriate. And here people didn't get it, but I thought, excuse me, why are there two 8th graders or 9th graders in a bed together? I don't care whether they have clothes on or not. And lest anyone think I'm picking on just the right with this. This is a show called Sirens, where it's basically an environmentalist's dream, where they talk about for 3 seasons, and it's a series, it's on Freeform. And they talk about the damage to the oceans and how big oil is ruining the oceans and overfishing is ruining the oceans and all the plastics being dumped. And all that's true. All that's true. But they think the reason that people are tuning in to the show is because of their environmental stance, when it's really, honest to God, the freaking bikini model that plays the main character, the mermaid. And she's only one of a great many. So of all of the people that they could pick, you know, now they've got the polyamory and they've got everything else going on too. But of course they had to go to the well. They had to go to the sex sells well. And it's not just left. It's not just right. It's virtually every part of entertainment and society is pervaded with this. Coming out of New York and DC, because this is where a lot of this is created. I know a lot of people think it's the West Coast, but really it's the East Coast. Game of Thrones would have been an epic failure without their introduction of over-the-top sex and nonsense that, when you look back at the series, did nothing to further the plot. Nothing at all. It didn't add to it. It didn't take away from it. It was simply gratuitous. If you want to see the true end of all capitalism, you need to look no farther than the word tontine. Now, a tontine is a pledge. The reason I use this image is because it was from MASH years ago. It's the number one form of investment for retirement in Africa. A true capitalist country. Continent, actually, to be truthful. Capitalist continent. Where anything goes, money is the number one god. Now, a tontine is where the last man standing gets the money. A whole bunch of people all throw money in every month or every week or whatever. And then as people die, more money than is left for the few that remain. And then the last person gets the whole pot. So I'm sure you can see there's absolutely no room for abuse there. And usually the guys who administer it take a huge fee. So I'm not saying that Cuties is right or it's appropriate. I'm saying exactly the opposite, but it's not unexpected and it isn't out of character at all for American culture. And I think this is what the attitude that the left is taking with this. If you think any of this is going to go away, if Trump gets elected or Biden doesn't get elected or what, nah, absolutely not the case. Because money talks. The love of money is the root of all evil, and in a capitalist culture, in a capitalist society, money talks and everything else walks. And if you're not a capitalist and you're a Christian, you're going to get labeled. Because there's a social aspect to these images, these things going on. There's people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tulsi Gabbard and all these people come out saying society should not allow this thing. When you start saying that, when you start making allegations saying that we need to, as a society, reject this thing for the good of all, boy, oh boy, that's really, really close to sounding like a socialist. So, just wanted to cover this aspect of it. It's not new. It's not new. It's been going on for a long time. And this was a very big deal, and still is a very big deal in military psychological operations. It's just the reality. I'm not saying it's right. It just is. It was the job. And now it's starting to kind of bleed out into more so than it has in the past. Civilian culture. How this can be used to manipulate people. So I will leave it there. Like, share, subscribe. God bless. We will see you tonight on Twitch. Please join us there if you have the ability to. It's a lot of fun. We can talk more at length about things and have a real conversation, a real-time conversation about stuff like this, and I can expound more and answer your questions. So I'll put the link down in the description to the Twitch channel. So take care. Thanks so much.